The Sann Francisco Leprechauns by Thomas Kennedy. Narrated by Bernadette Homerski. The Sann Francisco Leprechauns, copyright 2018, Thomas Kennedy. All rights reserved. This is a work of fiction, and any resemblance to those living or dead or otherwise is purely coincidental. Other fiction by Thomas Kennedy. Fantasy titles: Druids, Raptors, and Egyptians, The New York Druid, The Chicago Druid and the Ugly Princess. Hard-boiled humor and detective titles: Dark Drink and Conversation, More Dark Drink and Conversation, The Irish Detective. Romance and thriller titles: Love on the Dark Side of the City, Twisted Love and Money. The Sann Francisco Leprechauns. Part 1, Chapters 1 to 6 are set in a time before our time. Part 2 is set in our time. Part 1, Chapter 1. There were no fishermen at sea on this day in 1847, locked as they were by the storm in the safety of Dingle Harbour, and the tourist boat that seldom came to the Skelligs in the winter had stayed berthed, and the crew had taken to the hot whisky and dark porter in a local public house, where they mixed with local farmers and fishermen, in for the day and sheltering from the savage weather. Hardy tourists from England and beyond mixed in, but could not understand the low musical Gaelic of the locals. Unknown to the locals, or indeed humankind, this was the day of the regular 150-year Strategic Review Conference of Magical Beings, and as usual, those of magic had gathered at Little Skellig, coming from human world and other world in order to participate. 350 million years old, the rocks of the two islands were of Devonian sandstone, as were the mountains of the mainland, that formed a spine down the center of the nearby peninsula. Despite their appearance, these two rocky and steep outcrops had no volcanic connections and stood like sentinels on the edge of the wide Atlantic. Presently uninhabited by man, the Christian monks had come to the larger of the two islands in the 6th century, but had not endured beyond the 12th. The remoteness, combined with difficulty in approach, had preserved the traces of these monks in carved staircases cut into the rocks, a ruined abbey, and a number of abandoned stone hermitages. Around the cliffs and peaks, more than 20,000 pairs of gannets had made it their world in which to shriek, soar, and dive. An aerial view would give no indication of the activity within the Little Skellig, where a great cavern had been cut by the sea, and then raised by millennia of seismic activity to a hidden position within the core of the island. On this day it was full of noise and activity, and for all practical purposes oblivious to the storm and turmoil outside. The Fairy Queen had responsibility for the organization of the conference, and many hastened to her bidding. The fairy folk, used to decorating the stone interiors of their fairy forts, had decorated with the glow of summer warmth and with spider threads in gold. Goblins happily served as hewers of wood and drawers of fresh water, not to mention doing the cooking and arranging the endless supply of strong mead for drinking. An orchestra of nymphs, pixies, and sprites belted out tunes, and the dancing was, on occasion, frenzied. Druid Lochlain, the last druid of the ancient race of the Fir Bolg, and famed master of the dark magic, had been retained as conference host and keynote speaker. All were wary yet respectful of him, fearing his power to call down the dark magic. When the Fairy Queen raised her arm at dawn, the all-night music and dancing stopped, and the real work began. The Fairy Queen laid out the order of business and the details of breaks, including lunch. She explained that following a series of talks, including an update on spells, mixed breakout discussion groups would be formed. Druid Lochlain would act as facilitator and visit each group in
Sample complete. Ready to continue?